Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Corporal Craig Krause. We warmly welcome the family of Private Alfred Sargison Metcalf, whose story will be told shortly. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. I invite you all to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Alfred Metcalf. Alfred Sargison Metcalf was born on the 6th of September 1874 in Walker, a suburb of Newcastle-on-Tyne in England's northeast. He was the third and youngest child of William and Sarah Ann Metcalf. Tragedy struck the family around the time of Alfred's arrival. His elder sister Mary died, and before he was 6 months old, his father also passed away, aged 40. Sarah was left to raise the two boys alone. Selling retail goods and groceries helped make ends meet. Known as Alf, the younger boy attended Seafield Academy in Newcastle, and at just 16, passed university admission exams with full marks in arithmetic and 80 out of 100 in English language. Clearly gifted with words, Alf was also fluent in French, which soon led to gainful employment across the Channel. As a journalist, he was made Paris correspondent for the London Daily Chronicle. It was while there that Alf uncovered the true identity of Swiss adventurer and conman Louis de Rougemont, exposing his fanciful tales of exploits in Australia and New Guinea as a fraud in 1898. By the turn of the century, Alfred was back in Newcastle and living with and supporting his mother, Sarah. Elder brother William had become an electrical engineer and emigrated to Australia in 1892, settling in Sydney. In 1901, Alf and Sarah also set sail for a fresh start in the newly federated country. They settled in Sydney, and Alf soon decided on a career change, giving up journalism to become a wool classer. He was classing wool in the outback near Burke when war broke out in August 1914. Alf enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in Sydney on the 29th of August 1914, among the first to join up. To avoid being considered too old, he said he was only 36, when in fact he was just shy of his 40th birthday. Allotted service number 615, he was assigned to the 1st Infantry Battalion, Company E, as a private. After rushed organisation and training, the 1st contingent of the AIF set sail on the 18th of October 1914 with Alf and his comrades on board the troopship Afric. Like many others, Alf believed they were going to France, where he hoped he might gain a promotion and perhaps even a commission due to his fluency in French. Instead, they stopped in Egypt and training resumed. The months passed and still there was no action. Boredom and frustration set in among the troops. Then in April, it was clear something was big afoot. Alf landed at Anzac Cove on Gallipoli with the 1st Battalion on the morning of the 25th of April, 1915. There he endured with his comrades the sights and sounds, the fear and exhilaration as the reality of war set in. With the Turks on the commanding heights, the Australians held doggedly to the slender beachhead as casualties mounted. In the pre-dawn darkness of the 19th of May, the Turks made a concerted bid to dislodge the Anzacs and push them back into the sea. They came in waves, some 40,000 strong. In only a few places, they reached the Australian trenches. Alf's 1st Battalion on McLaurin's Hill had some men bayoneted. But attacking en masse in the open, the Turkish attack was ultimately cut to pieces and failed. Some 10,000 Turks became casualties within a matter of hours, with over 3,000 killed. Casualties for the Australians were much lighter, 468 wounded and 160 killed. Among the dead was Alf Metcalf. It is not known exactly how he died. Weeks later, word reached home. Sarah felt the loss of her youngest child profoundly. They had always been there for each other, and now he was gone forever. For years afterwards, on the 19th of May, Sarah placed a notice in the Sydney papers, "In loving remembrance of my dear son." Alfred Metcalf is buried in the Shrapnel Valley Cemetery on Gallipoli. He was 40 years old. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Alfred Sargison Metcalf, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.